Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, as I listen to a lot of the guys I normally listen to on YouTube, one of the things I hear is how many people have noticed there's no pollinators, no bugs. There's just definitely been a large increase. Could it be a tax ecosystem? It's a possibility, but I actually lean towards another direction on some of this stuff. Is when I was young and we used to travel Arkansas and Oklahoma, Texas, some of these areas, and most of the farmland always had cows. There was always something being grown there. People had large gardens. I mean, a lot of people were self-sustaining. They weren't dependent on the grocery store. And in that process, there was a lot of things for the pollinators. And a lot of people planted flowers. There was always lots of pretty flowers. And when I drive around the towns and some of these other things, you don't see the gardens. There's no cows anymore. You don't see, I don't know if it's a work ethic of the people or they just don't see the need. You know, it's going to come back because people are going to be desperate. Things are, you know, they're homesteading, independence. And do I believe a lot of state, federal, and county governments want people independent? No, I don't. I believe at this regime, I think that they do. They don't mind. But, you know, if people can grow their own food and harvest their own meat, you know, you're out of the control of the government. You're not dependent on their food stamps or subsidies. And they don't like that. Certain political parties want you extremely dependent on the system. And when you're self-sufficient, you're not dependent on the system. And so there's going to be a battle in the future. They're probably going to tax your garden or come against gardens. But in the meantime, if there's no pollinators, you're not going to have to worry about it. But plant flowers. You know, it's like most of the time with the environment, you know, back in my day, we had Arbor Day. We planted trees, saved the world, more oxygen. The trees absorb carbon and release oxygen. What happened to that teaching? And, you know, why are they trying to burn all the trees in California? To make sure the environmental issues come true. Yes, they're burning the crap out of things, even up in Canada, on purpose. And the best thing, how to offset it, plant trees, lots of trees, plant a garden, plant flowers. That's how the system worked for decades and hundreds of years. And get out, plant something, grow a garden, get a life. Grow some vegetables. You don't like the high cost of vegetables? Grow your own. You know, things will line up. They're going to reset. But develop your independency. I hear my cat crying in the background. He's on top of the garage. He's already gotten himself down, went up a tree. He's doing all sorts of parkour. And but we don't have to get him down. He can get himself down. But pollinators, they have to have something to pollinate. They need flowers, they need fruit trees, they need all these things. And people used to do that stuff. I drive down streets now here in the cities. I don't see the flowers I used to, or in the smaller towns. I don't see the gardens I used to. You know, people are so dependent on the grocery stores, and you know, they've already got vegetable inflation going on now. Pretty soon they're, you know, and the meat costs are going higher. They don't want you harvesting your own chickens. But, you know, chickens, it's kind of great. If you ever have leftovers at your house, you're just throwing them in the trash. But if you have chickens, man, they're just great garbage disposals. And then they give you eggs back in the process. And, you know, if you have access to other vegetations, like a lot of times you trim trees or something, depending on what you're cutting down, you can find out. But chickens will peck the tar out of it, or goats will eat the leaves. I mean, there's, you know, create the circle of life thing for your area, your town, your house. But, you know, look at the problems you have and learn how to solve them. And distance the government. Don't give them any more power. Don't give the world government any power, nothing else. These crazies want to blow up everything, I think, especially Europe. And if not, you know, the best thing, by the way, to prove you're an American, go to church. A Christian, you know, serving Jesus church. Get your butt in church. Fill the churches back up. Otherwise, you won't be going to a church. There's going to be a mosque next door to you. The American people better wake up. You're losing America. Do your research. Do your due diligence. You'll find out why. Thank you. Bye-bye.